the phrase everybody uses in this industry is there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. You know, there's multiple ways to do something, and it describes this industry perfectly. Just because I am walking you through the steps that I do doesn't mean that's the only way. It doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. If you've been doing this and it's been working for you, you don't have any issues with peeling or anything underneath coming back through, then by all means do it your way. But I am showing you just as examples as what I do on a daily basis. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I started out rough and I learned everything the hard way, but now I know everything what not to do. So, and that goes with fixing issues. I can fix something really quick with having no issues, and I can always move forward. So it's taught me a lot, but like I said, there's multiple ways to do this type of stuff, especially with painting and the artwork and stuff like that. So if you got something that's working for you, go ahead and just keep on doing what you're doing if it's working, because there's, the better you understand how to use the products you're using, nobody can tell you how to use them. If it's, you're the only one that actually can decipher that. And, if I tell you, you got to shoot at a certain air pressure, but yet you're going to be doing it a different way, or you got to use a certain gun, or you like something better, like, do what you feel comfortable with, because there's millions of ways to do it. So, welcome back, guys, to another video. I'm kind of sporadic right now, trying to do multiple things at once, but we're going to get back on this panel here, and I'll show you guys where we left off for those that didn't watch the before videos. There's 2 more out. These panels are going to a charity for mental health awareness that was sprung up through my hometown from a family member dying. So, and it was a really good friend of mine throughout school. So, did it last year. We're doing it again this year. We're going to see if we can beat that record of how much money was brought in. So, we're going to see if we can beat that this year. And another thing I'm doing is this car. I had a little bit of a scare last week. Had a truck pretty much almost run me off the road. Fortunately, I was paying attention, and there was a shoulder to go up on, and I went off into the ditch. And he ended up wrecking his truck, but I've been dealing with that. It really didn't do much to the car besides knock it out of alignment, and there's a lot of rock chips everywhere. As you can see, like right here especially, rock chip, some more rock chips. There's rock chips all the way around the side where all this debris hit my car. So I got some parts in for it. That's why I'm kind of telling you this, because I don't know whether just to keep it the way it is and just fix the areas and blend it back and keep it this color, or should I pretty much tear the whole car down and just redo it and fix everything that's wrong with it right now as far as the rock chips go, and repaint it a totally different color, because I got some parts in, and it's pretty much made to this, the scheme of this car. And I'm going to show you guys in a minute what I mean, because I've been waiting on these parts to do this. The wheels on this car really don't belong on this car, so I had to put spacers on it to make them fit, which you should put extended wheel bolts on. So I just got some of those in, and I don't know whether to keep building this thing or redo it, because the lug nuts itself are purple. So I got them right here. So they go with the car really, really well, and I don't know whether just to like I said, keep it the way it is and just drive it, because you're going to get rock chips in it just from driving it. Or if I go back through and redo the bumper, the fenders and the doors on both sides, and then be redone and fix all the little issues, and then start adding the hardware to these. Are for the rear. These are extended lug studs. So I don't know whether to just go ahead and put these on, because these got to get pressed in the back, which means the whole back end's got to come back apart. So I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to actually do with this car. So I might just go ahead and repaint it a different color. If that happens, I'm going to repaint it a different color, because I do have one issue that I'd like to really fix is right here. It's starting to bubble up, and that's because it's starting to rust underneath of it. So, and that's really common on these cars right here in this dog leg area. It just, for whatever reason, they didn't really do great from Dodge, and I think inside there, I've fixed this many times on different cars, and sometimes they got foam behind there and just water sits in there and just starts rusting away. So it is, it's a 2004, so it's an older car, so it's expected to happen, but I didn't think happened this fast, because when I painted it the first time, it looked really, really well, because I went all the way back down. Some spots were bare metal, some spots were actually all the way back down to the factory paint, and I didn't see any issues, so that kind of surprised me. So it kind of makes me want to just redo the whole car and paint a different color, and go with House of Color, because this color on this car is a custom color. The green is, and it's not really House of Color. So since I've got a House of Color bank now, I like to go back through and just redo everything House of Color. That way there's no, if somebody asks me, what is this, and then I say it's not House of Color when I'm nothing but House of Color right now. So I just want to make it tried and true, make sure everything's one, but that's what I'm going with now. Obviously it needs alignment, but if I got to do the wheel studs, then I need to get it aligned afterwards, because I got to tear the suspension back apart and stuff on it to do this. So I'm just kind of rattling my brain right now, trying to think of what I want to do with this car. I might just keep it like this until winter, and if I get bored one winter, start tearing it apart and start fixing everything with it. Well, that's that. So we're gonna get jumping back this panel here. Enough of me rambling on. So this is where we left off. I left off from doing the mouth. I just pretty much put a really really light pinkish tone down on it. And it's really just bland right now. So my goal today is to get this shaded and get it looking and making it, making it pop a little bit more, making a little bit more colors jumping out. And that just means going back through and just bumping up the values using the same pinkish flesh tone that I've got on here, but I'm going to keep just adding drops and drops and drops of this maroon that I've got here that I use to make the base color. And just go back through and just shade it and shade it and shade it and add layers and layers and layers until I get that look that I'm really looking for, which is directly just exactly like the image. It's a little bit more brighter in the image, not as dull pink. So that's the goal today. Then I want to go back through the face, and I'm going to start adding different gray tones to it. It looks pretty decent right now, but I think I can go back through and pop this out a little bit more, especially with the eyes. The eyes are going to get like a candy-ish, yellowish orange color to really make them glow. Because in the image, he's got really nice glow on his eyes, so I want to make those pop out. And then last but not least, we'll go through the hair and we'll do all that, because that's going to take the longest. Everything else, it should go by pretty quickly. So I'll put you guys on a time lapse here between some time, and then show you guys where I left off and pick back up. So stay tuned. I'll get this rolling, and we'll get some another video out here. Hopefully you guys can get that on camera here. So the mouth, I like the way it's at. Now to do the whole, the rest of the picture in this type of detail, makes it really come out. So if I can get the face to match the mouth, and then the hair, so on and so forth. What I pretty much did was just put more maroon into the mix I already made with the lighter peachish color. Around, just shaded everything. Then I went back in, added some blue to that, like a dark blue, to that mixture, and I went around and darkened all these spots. They might look black to you, in some areas they are, but all this black that looks like black is actually that darkest color. Because like I said, you don't want to really black everything out. You kind of want to shade it, because it's totally not totally just black. So blue is a really good color to do that with, because it goes really well with black. and then with some red into it, it kind of just makes everything blended in one. And then the eyes, I went through and I colored them, kind of make them look like gems. That way they're nice and shiny. So got some detail to do in the face still. I'm going to go through my grays, and I'm going to really punch this thing out. And then the last thing we can do is the brightest brights. Even though I already did some of it in the gums, that's actually yellow. That's not white. So when I go full white and I barely touch these areas down here, it's really going to make everything come alive. Same way up here. That's not really full white. So all this stuff will come out really, really nice. So that's the key, is to get everything else matching what I already did. So I'm going to go work on that. Might put you guys on a time lapse, might not, depends. Alright, so in the face area, I've got it pretty much almost the way I want it. The last thing I got to do is make up straight black and go in and do the darkest darks, which is really going to punch everything out and punch everything back in and then push all these lighter colors out. So what I pretty much did in the face was I made up like a medium to dark gray, like this kind of color right here. And then I pretty much just fogged it in everywhere and just covered everything that I had on here to push it back to one solid color. Now I came back in and I just started adding drops of black to my gray mixture, and I just started working in like these little, inside his face, you can see I started working these little lines in here. And then I went darker, darker, darker to the point where I'm almost ready for, like I said, just a straight black. And then I went around here and I went through with that darker dark that I had up here. I went back down here and I started shadowing it, everything. You just tell how much, just like right here for instance, how much that just brightened everything up. I started shading around his lip to punch that out, around his teeth, things like that. And it just makes everything more, you know, it looks real almost. So that's what I'm hoping this black's going to do up here. It should, especially his eye sockets, it'll push his eye sockets back further, and it's going to make all these lighter colors come out, and while pushing everything back. And then next video, I'm going to tackle the hair all in one. So that's going to take the longest, just because there's a lot of hair up here. But other than that, it's pretty much done. But I'm going to go through this. I'm going to put you guys on a tripod, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when just adding black to this. Alright, so I went in with the black, like I said, got it all knocked back in the areas that I want. Notice that I didn't put it everywhere. If you put it everywhere, it just looks like a bunch of lines. So you got to really follow your reference picture and then look at it carefully and look at how it should be and where it should go and things like that. Everything that I shade, I'm really loosely on the trigger, especially black. I really dilute it and I just barely shade it in, and I just do layers upon layers. It really gives that depth, like his eyes, for instance. They're really pushed back. So when you look at it as a whole, it's starting to come together slowly. But once we put those highlights in, like his nostril area and like his upper eyebrows, it'll really punch everything out more. But next video I'm going to go through the hair process. Now you saw me blast just black everywhere pretty much to knock it back. I'm going to do probably a little bit of freehanding with the hair and then some razor blade marks with it. I pushed everything back so that way when I take a razor blade to it, it'll show up underneath of it and I won't have to press really hard, because when you start taking, a lot of people use like sandpaper, like 80 grit to do hair and things like that, and it really takes a toll on your panel and you have to use a lot of clear. So I like to put a little bit of color down first, and then kind of just block it all out and bury it underneath whatever color I'm using. So it's a black panel, so I've used just straight up black to blast that. And then once I start peeling away with the razor blade, it'll show that white underneath of it. And then we can go back through and add color at the very end. We can use a candy to do all that. Right now it looks kind of funny just because everything around the face isn't done, but you get this thing out in the sunlight, it looks really, really nice. It is kind of dark in here, so it's kind of a dark image, but it's starting to come really long, so I'm really happy with it. So next video, like I said, I'll start banging the hair out, and then after the hair is done, we'll color it, and then we'll go through and do the highlights. So just hang in there with me. I know it's a slow process. These videos kind of get monotonous doing the same thing over and over again, but that's really what you got to do, is just take your time and just layer upon layer upon layer to get these images to look right. So we're going to get it done. Hopefully, this is Wednesday right now, so hopefully by Friday I'll be ready for clear. So I'll do a video on that when I get to clearing it. So until next time, thanks for watching.